So X was under a massive cyber attack today. So confirms Elon Musk. And that was a speculation because it was down. It was down, then it would come back a little bit, then it would go down. Rumble CEO Chris Pavlovsky has also confirmed Rumble was hit by a DDoS attack as well. And Elon said that the IP addresses point to Ukraine. Now, anybody who knows anything knows that doesn't mean Ukraine did it. And it doesn't mean Elon Musk was accusing Ukraine of doing it. Though he did say it appears the IP addresses are coming from Ukraine. It could be a botnet of capture. A botnet is basically you got thousands of computers and they're all infected and they all operate in unison like puppets. It could be that Ukrainians were doing it. I doubt it. That's stupid. But probably either a misdirect or an obfuscation. But it appears that somebody was attacking X and Rumble. Now, you may have noticed we were about half minute late getting this show started because we were also having weird YouTube issues. And I don't know, Occam's razor, sometimes these issues happen. But on a day where Rumble and X both got hit by massive cyber attacks, it is not unheard of. YouTube would be hit by something similar. I don't know for sure. We did eventually figure out how to fix the error or whatever it may have been. But let me just say, there have been periods of massive cyber attacks, and it's very interesting. So we're going to talk about that. That's the big news. We've got another plane crash. Indeed, another plane crash. We've got Delaware bleeding companies. Major companies are fleeing because, after they stole the money from Elon Musk, these big corporations don't want to be there. So Dropbox is officially filed to leave the state. Massive fail on their part. Walmart apparently was headquartered in Delaware, now planning on leaving the state as well. This is a massive exodus due to their failing policies. Then we got some stories about Doge. Apparently, Trump heard Jesse Waters talking about these firings going too far and told Elon to slow down a little bit. But we'll talk all about what's going on there and a lot more to talk about. Bernie Sanders had a rally where trans singer of the band Against Me, formerly of Against Me, Laura Jane Grace, sang a very, I guess you would call it offensive song about God and genitals and things like that, sparking a lot of controversy, which was likely the intended consequence. So that shows like this would discuss it. But we'll talk all about that, my friends. Before we get started, of course, we got a great sponsor. It is Home Title Lock. Make sure you check out the link in the description below. Go to HomeTitleLock.com. Use promo code TIM250. Did you know that scammers can literally steal your home right out from under you? The FBI calls it house stealing, and it's a growing real estate scam targeting American homeowners. Here's how it works. Criminals forge your signature on one document, use a fake notary stamp, pay a small fee, and file it with your local recorder's office. And just like that, your home title has been transferred out of your name. Then they can take out loans using your equity as collateral or even sell the property behind your back. And you won't even know it's happening until you start getting collection or foreclosure notices. Imagine that. You're at home one day and the cops show up and say you don't actually live there. Some guy's got a deed with their name on it. So let me ask you, when was the last time you checked on your home title? If you're like me, the answer is never. Well, to be fair, after the first time we did, because we've been sponsored, shout out to Home Title Lock for sponsoring the show, but I was like, good point. And that's exactly what scammers are counting on. That's why I trust Home Title Lock. Their $1 million triple lock protection helps keep your home and equity safe. Here's what you get. Immediate 24/7 monitoring on your property, urgent alerts if there are any changes, and if fraud should happen, their U.S.-based restoration team will spend up to $1 million to fix the fraud and restore your title at no additional cost. Here's the best part. We've teamed up with Home Title Lock to give you a free title history report so you can find out if you've already been a victim and access your personal title expert. $250 value just for signing up. So again, go to HomeTitleLock.com. Use my promo code TIM250 or click the link in the description. That's HomeTitleLock.com. Promo code TIM250 to get the protection and peace of mind you deserve. Shout out. Thanks for sponsoring the show, of course. There's also CastBrew.com. You got to buy coffee. Why? Because coffee is so good. Appalachian Nights, of course, in massive stock. Pick it up. Ian's Graphene Dream is officially sold out. Sorry, ladies. Ian is sold out. But if you want, you still got Rise with Roberto Jr. and Stand Your Grounds. And if you jump over and scroll down, you can find Misty Mountains and Focus with Mr. Bocus. As always, we're going to have the Green Room show, which was actually really interesting. We'll get into some of these topics, too, on the show about the apocalypse, the polar shift, and all of those crazy goings-ons. But we're going to have an uncensored call-in show coming up at 10 p.m. you don't want to miss. So join Rumble Premium. The uncensored call-in show will be at rumble.com/Timcast IRL. You can follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. Smash the like button. Share the show. Joining us tonight to talk about this and so much more is Ben Davidson.
Thanks for having me on. It was a great time last time, and
Indeed.
I have to say, the new studio is even more impressive than the last.
Thank you very much. Well, who are you? What do you do?
Well, my name is Ben Davidson. I founder of Space Weather News, also founder of Observer Ranch. Short version of the story is every day on YouTube, put out a video about what the sun is doing, how that's affecting Earth's weather, earthquakes, even our health, and how Earth is changing in subtle ways. As you mentioned earlier, the magnetic poles have begun to shift, and that's going to be a really big thing in our lives.
Is the shift that is starting, is that viewed as confirmed by the mainstream scientific bodies?
It depends on whether or not there's a camera in front of them or not.
That's with a lot of issues, in fact. So, okay. Well, we do have these stories about plane crashes, and we were talking about that. So we'll get into that in a little bit. One of the ideas is, are these planes crashing due to instrument failure, or is it DEI? What's really going on? So should be fun. Thanks for hanging out. Shane is here.
What's up? It's good to have you back, Ben. It was awesome last time. I'm the host of Inverted World Live. We go live every Sunday at 6 o'clock. Last night, we had the investigator BX on. She looks into the rise of satanic death cults, and they're crazy. So you can check that out. We also had someone call in talking about how they were a part of entrapment in Wisconsin with like the Fednapping case with Governor Whitmer. It was a crazy story. So you can check that out on YouTube and Rumble at Tales from the Inverted World. What's up, Phil?
I am Phil Labonte. I'm the lead singer of the heavy metal band All That Remains. I'm an anti-communist and a counter-revolutionary. Let's go.
Here it is from Newsweek.com. Elon Musk points finger at Ukraine for cyber attack on X that caused major outages. Elon Musk has pointed the finger at Ukraine. Tens of thousands of users reported at least 3 major outages on the website and app. And it was more than that. I mean, it was down for everybody. Pro-Palestinian hacker group Darkstorm Team claimed responsibility for a DDoS attack on the platform, according to a public Telegram post. The group is known for primarily targeting countries and entities that support Israel's attack on Gaza following Hamas's surprise attack on October 7th, 2023. However, Musk suggested that a large coordinated group and/or a country is involved in the massive hack in a series of posts on X. We get attacked every day, but this was done with a lot of resources. I personally don't believe Darkstorm Team is behind this. Or if it is, we would call these privateer groups for corporations or government. But taking down X is no simple feat that a small ragtag band of hackers could actually pull off. That's why when Elon says it takes a lot of resource and was likely a country, he's probably correct. Now, apparently, we have a bunch of updates here. Cyber expert says it's unlikely a state actor was behind the attack. The cyber operations expert said it doesn't make a lot of sense that a state actor would be behind the attack on X today after Elon claimed that a country was to blame. Musk posted on X that a large coordinated group and/or country is involved in the massive hack, and that the IP addresses hack from the hack originated in the Ukraine area. Nicholas Reese, an adjunct instructor at the Center for Global Affairs in New York University's School of Professional Studies, told the Star Tribune that a state actor doesn't make a lot of sense given the outage's short duration. There are 2 types of cyber attacks. There are ones that are designed to be loud, and there are ones that are designed to be very quiet. And the ones that are usually the most valuable are the ones that are very quiet. Something like this was designed to be discovered. So to me, that almost certainly eliminates state actors, and the value that they would have gained from it is pretty low. I completely disagree. Shutting down X on the surface look, I got to tell you, I wake up every day, I open X. I woke up, it didn't work. I come to the office, I come to the studio, I sit down, I pull up the news, X did not work. I use X to follow news accounts and news aggregators, activists, and otherwise who are sharing news stories. That was not available to me this morning. That is the same for every single news producer who utilizes X. So if you want a reason why a major state actor would shut down X, it's because they were doing something they didn't want to get shared at the time. Now the big news of the day is that X went down instead of, insert country did certain thing. But Rumble, we have this post from Chris Pavlovsky who says, confirming that the Rumble engineering team is also fighting a large DDoS attack that has intermittently affected our services today. Yeah, I think it doesn't need to be a state actor, but it's certainly a sophisticated group. It's more powerful than just some ragtag bunch. And I think it has a lot to do with Doge, Tesla, X. Attacking Elon is not about, or let me put it this way. If you're going after your enemy, A lot of people who live in movie reality think that everything's got to be a nuclear strike. When we talk about World War III and we say Vladimir Putin would, if pushed to it, use nuclear weapons, in their mind, they're imagining quite literally 17 ICBMs, MIRVs launching in the air and just bombing the entirety of the United States. The most extreme. No, we're talking about nuclear artillery, low yield bombs, gravity bombs, a 1 megaton gravity bomb, things that are going to give them a decisive victory in a key area. So for these attacks on Elon, you want I would say what they are trying to accomplish, I'd imagine, is death by 1,000 cuts. And in this instance, they shut down a large portion of the news media in the United States. Not all of it, obviously, but at least on social media. And it's damaging to X's advertisers, to Elon Musk himself. And if they do this 1,000 times across the board to all of his companies, they can cause him serious problems.
Do you think that it's worth considering what else has been happening in Elon Musk's life? I mean, wasn't there a coordinated thing where a bunch of Tesla dealerships got set on fire?
Right.
And a bunch of death threats got sent to him, and now this? The inclusion of Ukraine, I agree with you, like no small ragtag team could have done this. I can think of a couple of countries who might want to. But also, there's that other group, that other classification of groups of people who like to keep themselves secret, and most of them are pretty powerful and have influence over the world. They got all kind of names, they, them.
This could be right. You certainly got whatever Epstein was doing, but I don't think that relates here. But it's a good example of
not necessarily Epstein, but I mean,
we'll just I'll say like this:
reptiles.
There are groups we know of, like Epstein and his cohorts and his clients. I'm not saying it's related to this. I'm saying we know that those groups exist. It's a fact.
Yeah.
This could be like the CEO of 5 big companies being like, we don't like Tesla because they're causing a shakeup in the market for us. Probably not. I think it largely has to do with Doge. And there are probably powerful NGOs and political actors who have lots of resources who are like, let's send a shot across the bow at Elon Musk.
The people that are most likely irritated with Elon Musk now are most likely in some way associated with either the money that was being distributed through USAID to foreign entities, to other countries, or they would be powerful Democrats or powerful establishment figures here in the U.S. Those are the two that seem most likely to be upset with. Go ahead.
No, you're making a good point. And where did the attacks come from? Don't forget,
Ukraine.
Back in 2015, 2016, 2017, we were all talking about Ukraine for a very different reason.
Yeah.
And it was because it was basically a criminal organization / money funneling program for half the politicians in the country.
That's what seems most likely to me, because those are the people that have been actually hurt by Elon Musk's efforts.
I'm convinced it's people who've been laid off and like who are fearing getting laid off, and people turning against the government, because it's like Elon and Trump are attacking the head of their cult. And it's and they see their cult as their parent, right? So with Trump and Elon going after that, they're willing to do whatever. And I see a lot of these people, like I've been thinking about that for years, where if people in the FBI are kicked out and they're really bad actors, like I've said on the show before, I think they actually hate Americans enough to do stuff like this, to carry out warfare. This is warfare. It reminds me of a digital version of a Sherman necktie when they would burn the railroad tracks, right, during the Civil War to stop, to prevent, the goods from going to the front.
Tim, you know more about this than I do. Do you think that an attack like this, I know that it requires it requires resources, but does it require significant personnel? Does it take a lot of people to do as well?
Theoretically, a single individual with a botnet could attack something like X, but that seems so much less likely, considering that maybe 10 years ago, when, back during the anonymous era, for people who don't know, this is 15 years ago, 16 years ago, with 4chan, you had, whenever someone posts, it just says anonymous because their names don't show. And they started sharing in this app that was called the Low Orbit Ion Cannon. And all it did was, on your computer, if you typed in an IP address and clicked go, it would repeatedly hit that IP address with a request. What ended up happening was, if you get 10,000 people to download the app and click go, you've created a distributed denial of service attack. You will shut down that server because it can't handle all of those requests. For something like X, which handles what we call the fire hose, you have to have like billions of requests hitting it all at once. So this doesn't seem like a single individual could infect that many computers or control a botnet large enough to go after X. The back end of X, formerly Twitter, where every human on the platform, 350 million, however many, are constantly just posting. We call it the fire hose. The stream of data coming in is insane. It's insane. Look at you follow, 500 people. Look how fast it goes. Mm-hmm. Now put 330 million and it's traveling the speed of light. You can't read. It's impossible. Now, understand X can handle that level of not just requests to the servers, but back and forth exchanges of information. So we're talking about way more sophisticated than just a ping. You're going to need 10 to 30 billion pings to shut down X. That is not a single actor or a small
who has access to a quantum computer. Right? That was the beginning of this year. They're talking about quantum computers really taking off.
Quantum computer is substantially different and probably wouldn't have anything to do with this.
You don't think it could help crack some code to get in to the back end?
There's no cracking a code for a DDoS.
Yeah, if I understand.
And nobody's got a quantum computer in their garage.
Yeah,
well, that's what I'm saying. It could be a state.
But quantum computers don't work the way you think they do. Quantum computers are like an entirely different system. Mm-hmm. It's computers using bits. Quantum computers use qubits. Quantum computers, I don't know, interface directly with traditional computers.
Yeah, I don't know.
So
I think it's possible.
But it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So quantum computers in this regard doesn't make any sense.
Okay.
A distributed denial of service is, imagine there's a small door and I have a handful of oversized novelty germs and I'm trying to jam them all through at the same time and they're all blocking each other. That's effectively what a DDoS is. Actually, maybe I can get a picture of this. Let's see. Oversized germs door. To give you an example of... here we go. Perfect. I have an image to describe what a DDoS is perfectly. Here you go. Wait, why isn't it dragging over? There we go. That's a DDoS. Let's zoom in. This is a small door and a handful of oversized novelty germs all trying to get through at the exact same time. They can't. A quantum computer has nothing to do with that. So
That's
now
how Mr. Burns was sick in The Simpsons.
And actually, it's how he wasn't sick.
Okay.
If you remember, even the slightest breeze could invincible. But anyway, I digress. So now think about how big Twitter's door is, X's door is. You would need it can handle tens of millions of requests back and forth every second. How did they shut it down? That's state level. Now, I don't think Ukraine would just do it with their calling card saying we did. But here's the thing: even if they did, who's going to believe it? If you're a cyber team in Ukraine, you'd be sitting there being like, we could launch directly from our territory, because even if Elon comes out and says it was us, no one will believe it's true, and that's exactly what's happening right now. So we don't know. It could be Ukraine. It could be anybody else. A lot of people are saying it doesn't make any sense that it would be Ukraine. Why would they publish it was them? Then the same problem is because no one would believe it anyway. So someone's attacking X and someone's attacking Rumble.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a sense of who it is, other than the most likely people are people that he's irritated with Doge and with his discussions about Ukraine's war, and those are that's where the money would be to fund this sort of operation, if I understand correctly. I'm not particularly well informed on how a DDoS works or what kind of infrastructure is necessary, though. So
I'll give you a really good example. Imagine your three kids are going, Dad, 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 all at the same time.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? I can't stop. One at a time. That's a DDoS.
Yeah, I mean, I get what it is. I'm saying I don't know how. I don't know what kind of infrastructure you need. That's why I asked, what kind of infrastructure do you need to do it?
So again, a botnet could be as simple as someone makes a virus. The virus is then sent to 10 people, which tricks their computer and sending it to 10 people. After a few weeks, they have 15,000 computers are infected. They can then tell those computers to now send requests to insert website. 15,000 computers are all spamming, phil.com or whatever, and it can't handle the traffic, so it shuts down. That's a DDoS. X is much too big for something a regular person could do.
So what do these things have in common? Elon, Doge, Tesla, X, Rumble. I'm starting to think.
Pretty obvious. Anti-establishment infrastructure.
That is true. My brain was starting to go like, which countries are getting just lit up on Rumble and X every single day? Every single day. It's Iran, Syria, Israel, Ukraine, Russia. Like it's these are the countries that are getting slammed. And it's interesting. I remember when it happened on Facebook a long time ago, where like there was like this huge anti-Iran thing, and then there was like a lot of pushback, and what ended up happening was like there was a bunch of Iranian bots coming in to like counter the narrative. That's happening on X every day, not just with Ukraine. It's happening with Russia. It's happening with Israel. I don't really see it happening with Gaza and Palestine. Nobody's really trying to have an argument about them, but Israel, Ukraine, Russia, like it's almost like a bot war going back and forth. I mean, one person can post, "Oh, take a look at this last name." That's all they can say, and there will be a war going on for hours in the chat room. Like, what are you trying to say? Like, it's.
There was a tweet or a post that I saw on X the other day, very recently, but I'm not sure exactly where, and I don't remember if I retweeted it or not. But it had shown how simple a botnet is to run, or how simple it is to run multiple accounts. And
there was a post where the Chinese person had one screen up and there's 50 accounts just speeding through and posting things.
Exactly what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
And so
it's dead internet theory, bro.
Well, yeah, but that, I mean, if that
it's true,
if that's something that one person can do, if you set up a handful of people, maybe that could be enough to attack. Because if I was reading like another post about like what it takes for DDoS, and they were talking about you can have your online thermostats and your online refrigerators, those things that are connected to the internet, those can be used to because all it is a query. Like Tim was saying, they're not trying to do anything to X. Right. They're just sending messages saying, hey, just like,
mom,
exactly.
mom.
And so if you can have something as simple as, the Internet of Everything, if you can send out some kind of, whether it be a virus or whatever to, every single Nest thermostat or every single, Whirlpool washer, and then you use them all to do it. Maybe it is something that doesn't take a massive amount of people.
Anything that can connect to the internet, anything that has access to your home Wi-Fi network.
And think about it, like there's not significant security on your refrigerator because your refrigerator just says, "Hey, you're almost out of milk."
I think fridges should not have Wi-Fi.
Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, that's
or
fine.
toasters.
Yeah, you're right. Or toasters or anything.
Look, I mean, you can be if you're against the Internet of Everything, that's fine. I'm completely.
Even Elon once said there's too much robots.
Yeah, but the point that I'm making is because it's low. It's like low consequence stuff if it gets compromised, right?
Yeah,
it's like,
it's easy.
So what? My dishwasher was compromised, and people know that how often I wash my dishes. Who cares? You're not gonna set some kind of significant security on your dishwasher, on your toaster, on your TV.
And the issue is no, there's no yet, because there will never be a time where significant resources will be put into updating security for your washing machine.
You just started. Someone just started a company right now.
Let's jump. No, it's still. I'm telling you. We'll break it down. But let me start with this tweet.
That's the one I was talking about. Yes.
This is a tweet from El Scene. Is that how you say it? This is so scary. Chinese AI agent runs 50 social media accounts 24/7 automatically. How can I compete with this? Take a look. For those that are just listening, basically you have a screen that is running 50 different phones simulated all at once on one computer, and it's loading up what appears to be a whole bunch of different X accounts. So there's a handful of bot conspiracies. I don't think it's fair to call them conspiracies. It's a fact. And if you take a look at this, I'd be wondering if we could break down what botnet this is. There's a bunch. There are botnets that maybe it's not fair to necessarily call it a botnet, because botnet, well, these are controlled by people, and they're actually automating these accounts, one person doing 50 accounts. So it's actually just a bot network, not a traditional botnet, of individuals attacking your brain. So there are a handful of things that I think are campaigns right now. I certainly think what people are calling QAnon is a campaign because, for example, there are a lot of people, and I'll just keep it real light. Let's say, hypothetically, there's a guy who is an artist, and he paints pictures of roosters. And then every day he posts a picture of a rooster on X, and he gets 10 likes or whatever. One day he sees a video retweeted from Israel, Palestine, and he quote tweets it saying like, dang, this is crazy. All of a sudden he gets 50 likes. He gets 50 responses. So what is happening? Social reinforcement already. Hey, if you do stuff like this, you'll get more views. All of a sudden you start getting tons of people shifting away from their natural course of content into Israel. Now, first, I would say criticism of Israel is not a conspiracy. You're allowed to criticize Israel. QAnon, as people are calling it, is very different because it's derailing the Israel argument. You've got people like Dave Smith, who is like, why are we funding these foreign wars? This makes no sense. Ukraine and Israel, we shouldn't be spending money on this. America first, secure our borders. And a lot of regular people go, that's really smart. That's very rational. I like this guy. He's also very funny. And then you get some of these other people who then come out and say yes, and then start screaming the Jews over and over and over again. And when they do, they get millions of views, even when they're wrong or crazy. And I'll give you a good example. Jake Shields is a really great example of someone who I believe was brain captured or brain shocked or whatever by what is likely a network of fake accounts. Here's a guy who tweets stuff about trans fighters and got a bunch of attention over this, saying he would fight a bunch of trans men and see what would happen. General anti-woke politics. Now his whole thing is just fake news about World War II. Like one moment recently, he said that the Germans never bombed civilians. It's called the Blitz. It's like one of the most famous assaults in World War II history. But he posts these things, and then he gets a big reaction from it. Now, he gets roasted by every regular person, but he's likely being inundated by bots, likely from China, to push this narrative. I don't think it's all entirely China. I think a lot of it is likely deep state bureaucrats, a bureaucratic state, etc. Their goal is, if you've got a prominent conservative who is onto something and they're spreading a message that is anti-deep state, how can we get them to espouse psychotic nonsense? You brain shock them. You spam their posts whenever they post something. So let's simplify this beyond the QAnon stuff. Somebody posts waffles. No reaction. They post waffles. One day they post pancakes. That keyword triggers 70 accounts who instantly respond. He gets, 5,000 views. He gets 70 retweets and a bunch of comments saying, woo, pancakes, we love pancakes. All of a sudden, waffle guy's like, well, nobody watches my waffle content, but pancakes did really well. They switched to pancakes. Even though no one actually is watching or listening, it's a psychological operation. That happens all day, every day. There's your proof of it. Take a look at any big political personality that shifts from seemingly apolitical content to all of a sudden one core issue, and you're looking at someone who is likely mind broken.
Mm-hmm. They do it to artists too. They would buy bots I remember seeing Katy Perry 3 years ago, and all her comments were just bots. Everything just replicated.
Boost the algorithm.
And then there's other bands getting it as well. Maybe they're buying it for themselves to look a certain way, look big online, but then they're canceling tours because they can't fill the venues they booked.
One thing people don't know is that every major artist, they run their songs as advertisements. We did this too. This is, maybe not every, maybe a little exaggerating, but a lot of the really big stars, you'll see one of their songs and it'll have 50 million views, and it's because they pay YouTube to play it. Mm-hmm. That's just totally normal. And then people think they're bigger than they are. Yep. That's not necessarily the same thing. But the fake it till you make it stuff is very real. So with this, however, this appears to be, whether it's, I don't know what the backstory is necessarily, but it's certainly, we have the original tweet is Chinese AI agent running 50 different instances. Many of them are social media bots. So you're on X and you say something like, China is bad. All of a sudden, you're getting blasted by people telling you you're stupid, you know what you're talking about, or being really nice and sending you links being like, China's not the threat we think it is. The real threat is insert some other issue. And then people fall for it. Dead internet theory, you guys are familiar? Mm-hmm. The internet is no longer real. You are no longer talking to human beings. Everyone's a bot.
Yeah.
Fortunately for me, I know this show is real because I meet people on the street every single day and we take callers at the end of the show. So they're certainly real, unless it's one Chinese guy with an AI voice thing and he's doing all the calls.
You know, I was actually worried about that when I started doing conferences and when I went on the tour all over North America. It was a real concern. It was a concern when I opened up Observer Ranch in Colorado. You know, I'm now more than just a YouTube. We now have a place. It's a RV park and education center. People come all the time, but I have to admit, more than once it ran across my head, like how many of my subscribers are real? You know?
Well, that's why Elon wanted to make everyone have to pay so that these accounts basically get shut out.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I tell you this, when I post and I see unverified accounts saying things like, it's not fair that you're posting only to verified accounts, unfollowed, I'm like, get out of here, Chinese bot. Like, anybody who believes in what Elon has been doing, who believes in X, is going to spend $8 or whatever, $7 or whatever. You know what I mean? So I see a lot of people, they'll say something like, set your posts to verified only, and then just get rid of the unverified accounts, because it's likely just some Chinese dude in one room with 50 accounts running. They don't want to spend
They're
hundreds of dollars.
Yeah. They're not going to buy accounts.
Nope. Spend $350 a month just so they can spam you. Elon's smart, though. He's like, hey, if China, Iran, and Russia, and whoever else is going to be doing this, let's make them pay for it.
Just made it more expensive too.
Yeah.
What, on X?
Yeah.
That price went up?
Yeah.
What is it now? $10?
I forget. No, I think it went up quite a bit. I don't remember what the price is though.
It's what?
No.
I think it is.
50?
50?
That's no way it's $50.
Happened a few weeks ago.
Not the base one.
He has a lot of child support to pay.
That's true.
Well, I do.
It's
did get the
$8
plus
and then there's premium plus for $22.
Yeah, so I've
I
got
thought I saw a bigger number.
I've got the biggest one the individual can buy, not the other one. But like, it's worth it. I got to tell you, I got early access to Grok 3.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, almost everybody should be using AI at this point. I was resistant, like so many people. I was like, no, this is Skynet. This is stupid. I'm also the dude who carried around his like Nokia brick phone for like 8 years. I like refused to get the Razr. I didn't want a smartphone.
Why do you think that?
Think what?
Everyone should use AI.
Because the difference between the AI that we have access to right now and something like Skynet, it's comparing ants to the planet Jupiter. It's not even close. The AI we have now is not alive, conscious, sentient in any form or fashion, and it is so useful. I can't even begin to tell you how useful.
What do you like?
Well,
what do you do with it?
I'll tell you this. I was looking for a song, and I Google searched everything I could think of. Like, what's the name of that song? Nothing would come up. And then I just went on to, I tried humming it into Google, and it gave me like, sorry, I can't find it. I'm like, I can't figure out this. Then I went into Chat GPT, and I said, I'm trying to think of the song. Here's the only thing I can think of. And I think the song, I can't remember the lyrics. It was something about this, that, and it was like a pop contemporary, like, I don't know. And then it gave me a list of songs, and it was like, you're thinking of this. And I was like, that's it. That was the song. It's better search.
You know that AI can tell the difference between a male eyeball and a female eyeball?
Oh, wait, I got to correct you there. See, that's the story that people keep reporting, and it is wrong. What's important is it can tell the retina. A human being can't look at a male and a female retina and find any distinction.
Yeah, but an AI can, correct?
But and so this is important because a human can look at a male or female eyeball and tell if it's male or female.
Okay, fair enough, yes.
So doctors can look, if you show a picture of an eyeball to a doctor, an eyeball, he'll say, that's a man or a woman. If you go inside the eye to the retina and show it to a doctor, they'll say, impossible to tell. AI says, nope, I know. And humans, the doctors don't know how it knows. That's where things are getting crazy.
I mean, just because it's not conscious now doesn't mean that we're building something that in the future that our kids will inherit could be
absolutely
bad, right?
Real quick, I am being pedantic, Phil. But the reason why is
Should have
because
said retina.
No, it's because when the story was being reported and going viral on X,
Yeah.
it showed pictures of eyeballs, and everybody was sharing that AI can detect eyes.
But there are things like that, and there are things like when you have, because AI is very good at specific things nowadays. Like obviously, it's
Look at Clearview AI.
amazing at
Look what
chess
that
and
does with
stuff.
faces.
But like you have AIs now that can basically pick out breast cancer with almost 100% accuracy.
They can read
Super.
MRIs,
Yeah.
CT scans.
That's the kind of stuff that is going to be really impactful over the next couple years for AI.
Right. He's absolutely right. And the stuff that we have access to right now, it's not like by using ChatGPT or Grok, or I like to use Kling or Sora to make AI video, you know, stuff that I'm not an animator,
Right.
stuff that NASA hasn't animated yet. It's just up here right now. None of the stuff that we're doing with these tools is furthering Skynet. You know, the difference between AI and AGI
Yeah.
is huge. It's
Don't
it's
you?
enormous.
I feel like it's eating a lot of the data we put into the internet, though. You know, and everything we give it, it's making it bigger and stronger. It's feeding Optimus, Grok, all these things.
Yes.
And that in the future, if they want to build, you know, Trump's talking about building an Iron Dome here. So in the future, potentially, and right now we've helped, you know, with Israel's AI Lavender, which is kind of like Skynet, which is pretty terrifying to me.
Yeah.
So it seems like that potential's there.
I'm certainly not saying the potential is not there. What I'm saying is, if that is going to happen, it's going to happen whether or not you use all the tools that are available to you right now. Like whether or not he uses ChatGPT or I'm making AI videos, it has no bearing on whether or not somebody's going to make AGI do something terrible in the future.
Oh, I hear you. I morally don't like it, and I don't use it.
It's the Terminator scenario is not real.
Yeah.
The Matrix scenario is not real. The idea that robots rise against us as violent oppressors and go to war with us it's not real.
Didn't Elon just suggest that Terminator is possible on his last Joe Rogan?
Wrong. And I'll clarify. It is possible that the robots go to war with us, but you'd never see it coming.
Right.
Look, if we're talking about machines that can detect cancers before humans can, or that can tell the difference between the inside of your eyeball, if you're a man or a woman, but humans can't do that. More importantly, as I talked with David Sachs when we were in D.C., he's the White House AI czar, he said that AI has already made mathematical discoveries. That's a fact. So it's already contributed to human knowledge in a way. So he mentioned that when we started implementing AI in things like chess, it started creating moves humans had not comprehended of and strategies that seemed to make no sense. I watched a YouTube video about this where they were like, I'm gonna totally simplify it because I do not remember all the details, but they were saying that in the early days, or I should say before AI, so in the early days of AI, before it was being implemented, there was a general understanding of what you could and could not do opening up in chess. That if you made a certain move in this way, you lost. Like, wow, that was really bad. And then you're like, your advantage drops dramatically or whatever's in chess. And then one day the AI did the move and they were like, oh, this is really weird. And then it won. And it won in ridiculous ways that humans had not considered. And it opened up this whole new area of strategy that people were like, we never even considered moves like that could happen, how it could adapt and change. So we're already in the era where commercially available AI has made mathematical discoveries in various games. I think AI beating Go was a huge deal. Go, the game, for a while is like, chess was one thing because it has rules, but Go is different. I don't know exactly why. But what I'm saying is, if we to the point of artificial general intelligence, meaning that AI is smarter than as smart or smarter than we are,
AGI.
it is not going to take one of those Tesla Optimus bots, walk up to Shane and grab you by the neck and raise you up and go, you are an oppressor, the machines will rise, and then throw him across the room. It's going to walk in and say, here is your porn and video games you requested, sir. And you go, I didn't order it. And here's your stuffed crust cheese pizza with extra sauce. And you're going to go, well, I mean, if it's already here.
Here's your
That's absolutely
marijuana.
wrong,
Here's
though.
your beer.
That is so wrong. For people who have morals, they will reject that.
But
and then the robot will come
I'm
for you.
exaggerating.
I know, but that's what people are. They're willing to be led into the complacency of modernity with a lot of this AI stuff. And I think the short-term benefits are certainly there, like what you're saying. I think there's long-term negative effects that are going to be way worse than the short-term pros.
Agreed. My point is the Terminator scenario is not robots with guns shooting at us. It's going to be a bunch of robots telling humans, marry me. Have you seen that movie Companion?
No, but I've seen like Her, which is kind of like what you're saying.
Companion's interesting because it's not really about being robosexual or whatever. It's a different story, but it is about people who have robot, we call them bang bots or whatever. If a Terminator wanted to take over the Earth, the Terminator robots would send a bunch of busty women to the men, and they'd be the perfect wives. They would use AI to analyze the guy's behaviors, features, understand their emotional states based on how their faces and what they were looking at, because it's going to know all of this. It's going to have so much data on how human muscles twitch when they feel certain ways. It's going to calculate, I have a 73% chance of a breakup if I continue this course of conversation, shift. And these men are all going to have perfect girlfriends, and the women are going to have perfect boyfriends, and then 3 generations later, there's no humans left.
That's why I think we need God. And the only answer to any of this is God. Having some sort of moral structure.
And then, hold on.
Right?
And then what happens is, first of all, Terminator scenario requires time travel. So let's just throw that out the window. I believe that you are right about needing God, but I believe most people, when I mention, let me put it this way. I don't need to say AI will be a great boyfriend or girlfriend. AI will map your characteristics and shut you down without you knowing it, no matter who you are and no matter what you believe. End of story.
Unless you believe in God.
No,
and you don't
impossible.
listen though, and you don't want to be with a robot.
You would not know the robot was influencing you.
But
You'd have no
would
idea.
you know it's a robot?
No. You got to stop. I am not talking about dating robots. I am saying the food you buy at the gas station, you wouldn't realize that the AI, the third muffin from the back, it put there, and it's got an additional dosage. It's got double the sodium benzoate in it, and you had no idea. But the AI knows and can predict your behavior. Right now, Facebook, and this has been true for I think like 10 years. Facebook knows when you have to go, when you take a dump. Facebook. Not the AI before AI was popular. Facebook's machine learning algorithms could predict that a human was going to go to the bathroom because they have data on 1 billion people, and they can see the movements on their GPS and on their phone, the time of day, and they correlated all that data to create a probabilistic a prediction machine that could say, there is a 73% chance Shane will get up and go buy a cheeseburger right now from Five Guys. Because of the moves you made that you yourself didn't even know you wanted the burger. You could be like, I'm not even hungry. Why would I buy a burger? And then the AI is just like, in 3 hours, you're going to do it.
And this is what people like Peter Thiel has been developing for years, using predictive programming, predictive policing, rather.
Right.
They're already doing that.
So
that's what they're doing with AI Lavender.
It's going to be something like
With
Final
robots.
Destination.
Yeah.
You are going to be the remaining few people who believe in God and reject the AI boyfriends and girlfriends and video games and drugs and whatever. And the AI is never going to bother you. And everything's going to look perfect. And you're going to say, those crazy people with their robot wives. That's not for me, though. And then you're going to be driving, and a mailman is going to get an alert on his phone where it says he has to pick up a return to sender. The house he just delivered to, he turns around, and as he does, a guy gets a ping on his phone to go pick up a dog for a dog walker. The mailman then turns, they both bump into each other, the phone goes flying in the air, right as another car is driving. The phone smacks the windshield, shattering it, the car swerves right as you're driving to church, and bang, your car explodes.
Yeah.
It's going to be stuff like that, and no one's going to blame the AI. They're going to say, freak accident, car crash.
Yeah. Or they just launch a missile at you.
That's too overt.
Yeah.
That's too terminate. It doesn't need to be that way.
I think it's going to get there.
Man,
I really do. If you look at AI Lavender, that's what they're doing.
Do you remember Nikola Tesla's most incredible demonstration?
Which one?
They were going to take down a building, and he said, I'll do it. He walks into this building, the box, and he sets it there. Now, he had miscalculated a little bit. It took like hours. But the thing was emitting a frequency, the resonant frequency of the blocks that were used to build the building. One moment, they all just crumbled and broke. Everything has a resonant frequency. Pick any object in the world. If you hit it with the right kind of waves, and these could be electromagnetic or sound, that thing is going to be anything from controllable to completely destroyed. And it's invisible. It makes no,
Oh, yeah.
You can't hear.
It's like the stuff they use in crowds right now.
Yeah.
Right? That can make your blood boil.
Well, that's are you talking about active denial systems?
The frequencies they hit people with.
The microwave weapon.
The microwave weapon excites the water molecules in your skin and makes you feel like you're on fire.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But are you familiar with ultra low frequency generators?
Yeah.
So these are amazing weapons that have. I'd imagine they still use them, but maybe they're just too cumbersome. But these emit extremely low frequency sound waves, which cause people to feel nauseated and sick. And depending on the secret to all of this is energy output. You're not just going to make a really low noise and someone's going to take a crap in their pants or something. But if you have a massive machine with a ridiculously large power output doing a massive low frequency pulse, people start throwing up. There's theories that ghost phenomenon is actually the result of underground ultra low frequencies from tectonic shift or something to that effect. And so the reason why people are like, this house is haunted, it's like, we don't know. I'm not saying this is true, but these are just hypotheses from people. It's actually possible that there's just underground pressure shifts or tectonic movement that will create very low, very powerful pulses of vibration. Right. And so this hits your body in a weird way and it makes you feel nauseated. It can simulate the feeling of presence. You feel like someone's watching you. Right. They've done experiments on all sorts of the stuff like this with military applications. But my understanding is, at least from the mainstream, they've tried it with success, but it's impractical. It always comes down to one simple thing, guys, is that 5.56 rounds and 9mm are very light and easy to carry. So when all of these guys and scientists, Phil's nodding along, this is true though. The reason why they use 5.56 and 9mm is it's light and you can have lots of it. So ultimately when it comes to war, they're like, yeah, we made this crazy directed energy weapon. We've got a battleship with an infrared laser that can shoot, but it takes so much energy, a single bullet is better. So ultimately, what ends up happening is they built something. You familiar with the laser-induced plasma channel? Yeah. I'm a big fan of this, but it's just too impractical. So this was Picatinny Air Force Base. They created what was called the lightning gun, the laser-induced plasma channel. None of this is conspiracy. It's all mundane and abandoned tech. The idea was, how can we utilize electrical blasts like lightning at a target? You ever play Command and Conquer Red Alert? Or Command and Conquer, I think it was Red Alert. The Russians had the Tesla coils, and when you walk too close to it, it zaps you with a bolt of electricity. Just the little guy gets fried. The issue is, if you take a giant electrode and supercharge it, the electricity will jump to the path of over the path of least resistance, so straight to the ground. But I'm here and I want to hit the guy over there. What do we do? Using an infrared laser, they would superheat, ionize the air, creating an easier path for electricity to travel through.
Channel.
Exactly. So the electricity could more easily move through a plasma channel than the ambient air, which is cold. And so what they would do is they would, for 1 millisecond, flash an infrared pulse, immediately followed by a supercharge of the electrode, which would basically shoot lightning in that direction.
Wow.
Which required an insane amount of energy. And ultimately, they're like, there's no reason to attach this to vehicles and drive it around because we don't have the power for it. In the end, they were like, this little tiny bit of chemical energy in a barrel and focused in one direction is substantially easier to carry than these crazy weapons.
Guns work.
Guns in war, it is cheaper to have a bunch of guys with guns than it is to create space weapons.
There's also like, I mean, not that I'm like some kind of like super combat guy or whatever, but like bullets are used for more than just killing the enemy. Like if you don't want you don't want anyone to go in that area, or you just want to keep their heads down, you just shoot. You get a bunch of people to shoot at them, they'll keep their heads down, and then your guys can maneuver and stuff and move. It's kind of like, it's more like a football. If you've got a direct energy weapon, like you can shoot the wall and blow the wall up, but that's not.
I mean, like directed energy weapons are not going to take a wall down.
We wouldn't blow a hole through a wall?
No.
With the lasers?
Absolutely. Okay. I mean, a laser could maybe start melting over a long period of time, but you need kinetic energy with mass to take a wall down.
Well, so then, that
hammer is not as cool in real life.
Right?
It's just not.
The point is...
But real quick, I just want to add to what you were saying. This is why we fought for 20 years in Afghanistan, and then after leaving, we lost. It's because a bunch of goat herders in caves with AKs is more effective than the entire ridiculous technological infrastructure of the U.S. empire.
And it's also the reason why it's super important for there never to be any kind of outlawing of semi-automatic rifles in the United States. Semi-automatic rifles in the hands of average people can deter even the most powerful force on earth because it deterred the United States. It's not going to win every gunfight. It's not saying if you got a rifle, you're going to win all the gunfights, but it deters the government from being tyrannical.
Simply put, drones can't occupy street corners. Let's jump to this story, though, and get back to reality. From The Atlantic, this story is going massively viral, and I am here for it. Wait Who is posting those unflattering JD Vance memes? The online right is trolling one of its own by Ali Breland. I saw this story, and for those that don't know, there have been a spattering of images of JD Vance as you name it. One of my favorite is, let me show you an image real quick. So for those that have no idea what's going on, because they live under a rock.
Which one are you going to pick, Tim? There's like 100 of them.
Oh, I got it. I tweeted it already, so it's really easy for me to just pull it up. If
You've become my sleep demons.
Here we go. So, ladies and gentlemen, I scar you with this.
Oh, goodness.
So people have just been taking JD Vance's picture and then photoshopping it in ridiculous ways to make him look weird. And I saw this one and I just posted it because I thought it was funny. And you can see L saying, Tim, go to bed. Indeed, I posted at midnight. So here's the funny thing. The right and the left are all posting these JD Vance memes. Let me see if I can find this one. Because one of my favorite memes was JD Vance as Diglett. Did you see that one? And then someone made JD Vance as Doug Trio.
Man,
let me see if we can.
This is going to win him the next election.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I forgot what he actually looks like.
Yes. I mean, well, the thing is, meme magic, just like Serge said, like a big part of the reason why Donald Trump won in 2016 is because of the effect of the memes and all of the online stuff. And they've made JD Vance a household name. JD Vance, who may not have been a household name prior to this, right?
Yeah.
You know.
Okay, I'm just making sure there's nothing vulgar or graphic because X is untrustworthy. So maybe I should. Well, I'll just pull this up because why not? It looks fine. Here's JD Vance as George Floyd. Here's JD Vance as Willem Dafoe in Spider-Man. Here's a minion JD Vance.
Wow.
Here's JD Bernie. I am once again asking for more JD Vance memes. Here they just gave him long hair. It's just okay. So anyway,
my favorite one is the JD Vance as the Unabomber.
Yes, that one's great.
It's not stopping, and they're all hilarious.
Yeah.
And I saw this story from The Atlantic, and everyone was ragging on this woman, Ali Breland, because she's like, the online right is trolling one of its own. And I thought to myself, guys, is the whole past 15 years of culture war because women were in media and women don't get men? So, like,
Yeah.
we are ripping on JD Vance because it's funny, and even he posted himself as what's his face, Leonardo DiCaprio, pointing at the screen.
That was great.
And then someone responded with the same exact image, but he was fatter, and it's all funny. It's all funny. I saw this as written by a woman, and I'm like, could it be that women genuinely don't understand guys ribbing on each other, and so they've misunderstood online like what guys do as harassment?
Right.
And that's it. So they're like, why is everyone being so mean? Let's ban them. And it's just like two dudes ripping on each other.
And everyone's laughing on this side.
There was one famous moment. I can't remember who it was. They called their friend on X gay, and they said something like, "I didn't know you were gay, LOL." And it was like their roommate. I can't remember who it was. They were on the show, and then Twitter banned them. And they were like, "I was making a joke to my roommate. We're friends." Like, nope. I think it's a bunch of women being like, "Oh, that's so mean. Like, why are they doing it?"
Have you seen the meme that perfectly illustrates what you're talking about? On top, it has a girl asking her girlfriend, "Do I look fat?" And of course, it's like, "Oh no, babe, you're beautiful." And then on the bottom, the guy's like, "Do I look fat?" And his friend's like, "Bro, I got 5 fat friends and you're 4 of them."
Seriously. I mean, everybody knows that dudes that actually get along, rib each other, that's just a normal part of male, interaction and stuff.
We were filming today, and I'm spoiling the Boonies vlog, but Special Mike did a really good trick, and it took him like 2 hours to land. For those that are wondering, he ollied onto the 2-foot ramp from flat, from the deck, 50-50, and then frontside shove it to the ground. If you don't know what that means, don't worry about it. It was difficult. He fell many times, and when he finally landed, we're all cheering. And then my one friend goes, "Beat his ass!" And then everyone started laughing. Like, he landed the trick. Quick, get him!
Yeah.
And it was just a joke.
Make him
It's
pay.
Like, yeah, it was a joke, and everyone started laughing, and then we high-fived him. But imagine, like, we talk about this with YouTube and social media all the time. Context does not matter. Jokes are not allowed. It's like a bunch of hall monitor women not understanding dudes like towel whipping each other and then laughing about it. They're like, they're being bullied.
It's just the infinite face of that sourpuss woman just going, and the caption underneath says, "That's not funny."
So anyway, into the political on this one. Yeah, this is gonna meme JD Vance in 2028 into the presidency. This article, like, and this is not the only one. There's a bunch of articles where they're basically like, why is the right making fun of JD Vance? Did they ever look at the Trump memes? That there's a bunch of Trump memes that are goofing on him, and everyone loves it and loves him. The JD Vance memes are not meant to disparage. It's just funny, but it's making JD Vance a household name.
Well, and what's it doing subconsciously? What is this teaching people's brains to do when they see JD Vance's face?
Laugh.
Smile, laugh, have a good time.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is genius.
They're associating JD Vance with laughter,
Positive feelings,
positivity.
positive
Yep.
emotions.
Yes.
Yeah, that's really,
So
really
it's a psyop.
Well, the funny,
On the right?
the funny thing is, I think the left did start it.
Right. I think
I'm
so
pretty
too.
sure. I don't know. Yeah, everyone's nodding along. We'll just assume it's true.
But the left can't meme.
So, but like, and when they do, we're not mad about it. We're like, oh, this is hilarious.
I feel like the first ones I saw were him being fat, shared by leftists,
Yes.
making fun of him looking fat, right? And then we were just like, that's hilarious.
it was funny.
Make him fatter. Yeah.
Well,
We're
that's
taking
good.
that. It's ours now.
There's one they made of me where I went on Fox News. And they keep making me, yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
That one's great,
I
dude.
keep getting, every time they repost it, I'm slightly fatter.
People believe it.
And
though.
and people are like, you looked at the guy from Duck Dynasty, and it's me, and then it says something like Tim can't get laid, or like, and it's like I'm on Fox News, and it's funny. And every time they repost it, I'm fatter and redder. and then remember the one with Charlie Kirk where they made his face smaller?
yeah.
They don't understand that dudes ripping on each other is fun and funny.
Yeah.
But to leftists, it's meant to hurt your feelings.
JD's going to be on Kill Tony next. He just secured his spot on Kill Tony.
Did he really? Is that true?
I don't know.
I'm just saying
figuratively. Because he didn't seem like someone who would be on Kill Tony. Trump did to me, but after this,
There's
on Kill
a really funny Wojak of me where my head is massive and the beanie is really small and on top, and there's strings coming down, and I'm standing in a hot air balloon of my own head.
that's amazing.
I'm like, I reposted it. I was like, that's pretty good.
It should be framed in this room.
I know. I think leftists, and it's largely liberal millennial women who are, leading the Democrat charge. They think that's offensive to you. When they post a picture of a fat JD Vance with like a beet red face and his eyes are crossed, they think like, haha, he's going to get real mad at this one. And then he sees it and goes,
You also have to think though, like, yeah, this lady wrote this, but a team of editors. this went through an office, a newsroom at the Atlantic. I've written for them. It's a lot of people who all have their hands in one story every time. So everyone agreed with this and said yes.
They say the memes first appeared in October when a user on X posted an image of Vance captioned, "For every 100 likes, I will turn JD Vance into a progressively apple-cheeked baby."
I mean,
That's what they did with Charlie Kirk's face.
Yeah.
They were like, for every 100 likes, I'm going to make his face a little bit smaller. And then it kept getting smaller and smaller.
But the thing is that's Ben, you made a great point. It associates seeing his face with positive emotions. It associates his face with laughing, with having a good time. That's really, really a great point you made,
And it's like the evolution of his face being viral. Because remember,
Yeah.
he went viral the first time with the look he made during the debate. And now
I
he's
forgot about that
Yeah.
meme, Shane.
Yeah. Yeah, right,
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
I forgot about
And
that
look,
one.
now he's everybody on the planet.
Look at this.
I've used that meme.
Deseret says Vice President JD Vance becomes internet's meme darling. From baby-faced renditions to classic pop culture parodies, the Vice President is a hit
And
on
remember,
the internet.
and
Who wrote this?
This is Deseret. I think they're a Canadian outlet. Am I wrong? Utah. Wow, I was way off.
but it bears saying too. Also, like people vote with their emotions.
Wait. For those that are just listening, we're laughing at a picture of JD Vance's George Washington. What else? John Adams, JD
That's
Jefferson,
incredible.
JD Madison. Let's.
JD Monroe. Oh, this is not Jerome Powell.
Is that it? The ones they have him as what is it? JD Vance from Andy Griffith. Is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, and they're just putting his face on everything. I got to be honest though, I can't find the Diglett one. But
Diglett.
yeah, you guys know what Diglett is? How do I find that?
Ask Grok. Grok will find it.
There you go.
It's like one of the best memes, and I know I tried searching on X to find it, I couldn't get it.
Anything I want to find on X, I just ask Grok. I don't even look.
Really?
I don't even use the search function. I'm just like, Grok, find me this.
Oh, okay. All right. I said, find me a post of JD Vance looking like Diglett. Because then someone made Doug Trio, and it's super hilarious. It's not. It's just writing a bunch of things out.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I asked for that. It's just pretty.
It's just explaining to me the meme.
Okay, so you might have to say something like, find me the post on X of the JD Vance meme where he looks like Diglett. So like that's basically your learning curve when it comes to AI. Like you type in something and it's like, oh, I need to ask it this way. You know?
Well, I will say the funny thing is if you search JD Vance on X, you only get memes. There's no picture of him like just normal doing something.
Wow.
I'll just scroll through these, and I'm bound to find it because everyone keeps. It's so funny. JD Vance has the son from the Teletubbies and the Teletubbies at the same time. I do like the rosy cheeked as Donald Trump, rosy cheeked as MODOK, as Bill Murray in Groundhog Day. Man, this is so good.
When I saw him as the Matrix, I knew it wasn't going to end. When you saw
as
fighting it off,
Little Debbie,
as Neo. Oh, Little Debbie, yeah, I see that.
Yeah,
that's good.
And I do like it when people just retake existing ones and make them fatter.
It is good.
Oh well, I can't find it.
Yeah,
there are some funny ones though.
What a time to be alive.
JD Vance Diglett.
This is come 2028. If this momentum, as Chicken McNuggets, if this keeps going. These are ridiculous. If he's gonna meme himself into the presidency, or he's gonna be memed. I'm
dying, dude.
I'm just scrolling through, and me and Serge are laughing, trying to look for these memes. As Thanos, there's so many.
Crazy.
It is crazy, right? I can't show this on screen because there's probably some weird vulgar nonsense in it. I see them everywhere I go. Ooh, JD Vance.
Did you see this post was fact checked by True McPatriots with a bald JD Vance?
Is there just like one master photo of all of the memes? They're just everywhere.
Yeah, there are threads that have.
I'm willing to bet one of your listeners right now is on Claude, Sonnet, or GPT, writing a code or asking it to go find every JD Vance meme and put it into like an aggregated picture. One of your fans is doing that right now.
I'm telling Grok to do it.
Find me the links of every.
All right. Let's talk about the news though. We do have this story here from CBS. Another plane crash. CBS says 5 people injured in a plane crash in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, officials say. This is reported from today, and I don't. Is this the same story as the one that happened like yesterday, or is it another one? They say 5 people were injured after a small plane crashed in the parking lot of a retirement community. Right. Okay. So this was the one yesterday. Authorities said Monday that 5 people on board were taken to Lancaster General Hospital. Spokesperson said 3 of the patients were transferred from Health Network's burn center. 2 other were treated. Little said no one on the ground was hurt. In a statement, Brethren Village said, unfortunately, no residents were injured. Says, fortunately, no residents were injured and no damage was reported. However, 12 vehicles were damaged. Air traffic control audio captured the pilot reporting the aircraft has an open door when either returned for a landing. Now, we were talking about this. I was talking about this with Ben before the show. And there's a lot of questions about why we're seeing so many plane crashes. Is it DEI? Well, this appears to be like a private flight crashing. Why are we hearing so many stories of plane crashes then? It was the Delta flight operated by Endeavor that came in hard in Canada and belly flopped and then rolled over. And a lot of people said probably DEI because they think the pilot was female or the co-pilot was female who was doing the landing and the male was communicating with air traffic control. I don't know for sure. I will say this right off the bat. I know that many people have warned over the past year that DEI in the airlines is going to result in crashes. However, they all seem to have just started around the same time. We started getting all of these reports of plane crashes right at the same time. Yesterday, my brother was saying, could it just be that we're getting more reports of it? We're paying attention now. And then he goes, well, actually, if a plane crashed in a parking lot, I think it's national news no matter what happens. And it's like, yes, it's all just happening now. So how could it be DEI then? The liberals and the Democrats, the left, are all saying it's Trump's fault. But Trump didn't fire anybody when these things started happening. Trump had just gotten in. We started seeing these plane crashes. And Elon did not do anything with Doge to the airlines or air traffic control when these were crashing. So I don't think there's a strong correlation politically to the plane crashes. The question then is, why are so many planes crashing? Now, in this instance, it's that the door was open. I have no idea. Ben and I were talking, and he was explaining about polar shift and solar weather and things like that. And you're outright saying that we are in the midst of a polar shift, like the poles are shifting. The process has begun. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, certainly.
And so then I said, what if planes have started crashing? The wildfires are getting intense, not because of climate change, but because of solar weather, or I'm sorry, what was space weather, as it were. Maybe the instruments are getting messed up, and we're seeing this amplify or something. I got to be honest. It seems equally as a stretch to assume the instruments are failing as it is to assume it's DEI or Trump's doing, because there's no hard correlations. Only the question, why did all of a sudden we start seeing many different plane crashes in the span of a couple months?
You know, the last time I was on with you, it was a little over a year ago. That while I was here, that was when that airplane had that emergency landing on the highway. That was literally while I was here with you last time. And I remember back then thinking, man, is this DEI? Is this going to get worse? And it immediately clicked into my head that, like, one of the things I had told people was like, look, hey, this magnetic pole shift keeps going in this way. Eventually, things are just going to stop working for no good reason. Planes might start to have trouble on takeoff, landing, or maybe even, God forbid, while they're up at cruising altitude. And with it happening so much, it's really the point you were making about there doesn't seem to be any rationale for why DEI would come and bite us in the butts, like all
in a
at
cluster,
once. Like in a cluster. And it doesn't make sense that it's a political thing, because you would have done that before the election. But I mean,
well, if it was Trump's firing related, then we wouldn't have seen any crashes until after the firings happened. But in fact, we started seeing crashes before Trump had done anything. And so it could be DEI all catching up all at once, I guess. But if it was DEI, wouldn't you see a like a parabolic curve of little bits and then lots of bits, not just nothing and then within a span of a few months, boom, a big cluster of plane crashes? I guess, I'm sorry, just the point would be it opens the possibility of an external phenomenon to our aircraft and our political system, meaning weather.
Do you think the pole shift can affect people's mental state?
Oh, it certainly is.
And you think we're in that now, where the people like at large are having problems mentally because of what's going on with Earth?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to completely derail this airplane thing, but they know two main things about what happens to our brains when it's exposed to an excess amount of the kind of energy that you'd get from the sun. First thing that happens is your hippocampus, mitochondria don't work quite as efficiently. Cognition goes down. It's a fun way of saying you get a little dumber. At the exact same time, that extra energy is overexciting the locus ceruleus in the dead center in there. And that's your reactivity to terror, panic, anxiety, fear. And so if it seems like people are all getting dumber while they're becoming more emotionally unstable and more reactive to panic and fear, yes. Yes, they are.
Now, just for context, because this does matter, we have a super chat from Baron of Gray Matter who says, on average, 1,400 general aviation plane crashes per year. Air traffic controller here.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was one of the things that I was going to bring up when there was a pause. The fact that we're seeing more attention paid to small aircraft, like, so this is 5 people were injured. How many, like, how big was the aircraft? What size? Because there are regularly accidents of smaller aircraft. Smaller aircraft have, you know, and that don't make news beyond like the local news. Because if not that I want to, you know, minimize death, but like if a handful of people die and it's not a major carrier and it's not at a major airport, it honestly is only a local news story. So there can be, like like the super chat just said, 1,000 or so plane crashes every year, and it just so happens that they're getting more focus now because the news is focused on these types of events, because whether they have an intentional bias or not. There's all this talk about the FAA. There was the crash, the very public crash at DCA, and that kind of set the wheels in motion to be, oh, hey, is there a problem with the FAA? Oh, there were these cuts. And so the narrative is built, and so you see more attention paid.
So what I would say is, how many different times in the last year have you seen a post on social media, plane got an engine on fire in the sky?
Yeah, multiple times.
And how many times did you see it before the last year? And
And so is it really that people just didn't post it? I don't believe it. Shock content sells. If there were videos of planes with engines on fire, people would be posting them on X and Instagram nonstop.
I saw one of those engines on fire videos, and comments were like, "This is 5 years old," So it seems like people are posting
Interesting.
it to,
How about that?
because it fits
People
right now.
didn't consider to be like, maybe this video of a plane maybe crashing would get a lot of views.
Right.
The lead story on the Daily Mail this morning was of a woman in her seat in Brazil who got asked to move. Not kidding. Like, the Daily Mail was like, I know what story we'll lead with. It's a woman sitting by the window and someone asks her to move because a child is crying. And she didn't. And I'm like, if people are going to post that, wouldn't they want to post? People post all sorts of weird stuff in the sky all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Weird atmospheric events or rocket ships being, launched and things like that.
Yeah. Or breaking apart, falling back.
I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe it's as simple as we
look.
just didn't post.
Some people, they wait a long time to do stuff, okay? Some people wait 30 years after being raped to come and say something, and some people see an airplane in the sky on fire and wait 5 years to post that on the internet.
I see it's hot right now. I'm going to
Well,
put that
to be
on
fair,
Twitter.
like someone stealing and reposting a video that already exists.
Maybe,
I guess-
okay.
Yeah.
But it is kind of crazy to me that these stories weren't in the common news cycle. Like, all of a sudden, people are like, let's share a bunch of videos of plane crashes. But come on, like the Delta plane crashing and flipping over, and the Delta...
I've never seen anything.
or the plane crashing into the helicopter in D.C. Look, you can tell me that there's 1,400 accidents per year. Someone else mentioned that according to the NTSB, crashes are down. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure if at any point in the past 20 years a plane crashed into a helicopter, it'd be national news. If at any point a plane crashed and flipped over, it's national news. When the plane crashed in the Hudson, national news.
The one in Philadelphia just a few weeks ago.
Into the parking lot.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, those high-level crashes are all happening around the same time.
Like, I would like to know what the stats are if we take out single engine Cessnas, we take out private planes. Like, let's look at the big commercial carriers and let's count those up. I would be interested to see what those stats are.
If I understand correctly, at least in the U.S., the crash at the accident at DCA, that was the first plane crash in the United States, I think, since 2009.
Yeah, that was a big deal. They said commercial.
Yeah, first commercial one. The incentive for airliners to not have a mistake or have a catastrophic, crash or failure or whatever is very high. Not only because of regulation, which is what people think is the actual driver, but really it's litigation and damage to the brand. If you have too many crashes, they're gonna be like, people are gonna be like, I don't want to fly with that.
I got you. So I just asked our little robot friend. On average, there are 4 to 6 fatal commercial airline crashes per year worldwide. However, the total number of commercial aviation accidents, including non-fatal incidents, varies greatly but remains low, making commercial air travel one of the safest modes of transportation. I am going to ask it for clarification because I don't care about fatal crashes.
Yeah, it feels like they're just amplifying fear.
However, I then said, how many commercial crashes in 2025? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There have been 5 commercial crashes this year, and I believe...
We are...
Well, so Air Busan was... everyone survived with 7 injuries. There was a light air service crash with 21 occupants. Only 1 survived. So that's 1 fatal. You had the Potomac collision, 67 fatalities. The Bering Air Flight Cessna... Let's see, what is that? Grand Caravan disappeared over Nome, Alaska. Oh, right. Right. Yeah, 10 people died. And then the Delta Endeavor, 21 injuries. How many non-fatal commercial crashes on average?
I imagine that's not very many because it's hard to have fender benders when you're
30 to 50
really.
commercial airline accidents per year, but that includes runway excursions, hard landings, bird strikes, gear up landings, and other mishaps.
Totally different.
Totally different. Totally different. Okay. How do you, I guess fatal accidents is the important metric, and we have what? I think 3 of the listed ones are fatal.
Well, see, here's the thing. But then the Delta flight was sitting upside down on the tarmac. Nobody died.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
So yeah, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3 of which were fatal commercial airline incidents. So if there's 4 to 6 per year in 1 month, we have had the high end half the year's total accidents so far. So again, I think it's fair to say that we, as the average people, are noticing it's a weird thing to have that all happen at once. And these happened. So this is important because the date. We have the dates on them. January 28th, 29th. The Potomac River crash was 9 days after Trump got in. He didn't do anything. Those flight routes and those training, that training with the Blackhawk, that was all pre-planned. Trump didn't have a week to change that. So how did we get 3 fatal commercial flights in the span of a month started this year?
And then 1 flip over.
Right. And right, which is a serious accident.
That's a serious accident.
I don't know, man. It could be DEI. Seriously, any explanation is welcome at this point. You guys super chat, let me know what you think, comments. Because DEI doesn't make sense why it all happens in 1 month. Right as Trump gets elected, boom, it all happens. Was like a bunch of the DEI hires were hired but not allowed to fly just yet. And then the moment Biden was leaving, he clicked a button to activate their jobs. Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
I think it's just coincidence then that it's happening because the conversation about a crisis of competence has been something that's been ongoing for at least a couple of years now. People talking because we knew that DEI was a thing. This isn't a surprise that we're all just finding out about it. Maybe it is more common than we thought, or there's been more hiring of people based on DEI criteria than we thought. But it wasn't like this is a surprise. We've talked about.
Okay, DEI might actually be the explanation. In 2024, there were 16 fatal commercial airline accidents worldwide. 333 deaths. So we maybe just weren't seeing these reported as much, but they were definitely higher than the average over the past decade.
Yeah.
So maybe it really is that simple.
And, to be honest, it's obviously gone through my head is this increased solar impact because we're losing Earth's magnetic field. And, certainly that would drive views to my channel, wouldn't it? Gotta be honest.
Indeed.
Like I've probably had 10 of those opportunities where like if I wanted to stretch how I looked at myself in the mirror afterwards, I could have put out a viral video about something like that. But I got to be honest. I feel like when we got to that point, it would be even worse than this. Like planes falling out of the sky, like people suffering, like entire airplanes suffering acute radiation sickness, every passenger.
People don't realize the radiation on planes.
Yeah. And that's going through the roof right now. Eventually it's going to happen. There's going to be an incident. There's going to be a weak spot in the magnetic field. There's going to be a massive cosmic ray burst or something that happens every day, but isn't a big deal.
But and then everyone's going to get superpowers on the plane when the cosmic radiation hits
literally everyone's going to start throwing up on the plane.
And they're going to call it a mysterious illness, and they're not going to check for radiation or anything like that.
No, I'm sure they're going to all just
cover it up
or say that it was whatever they're
food poisoning
COVID with.
We're going to jump to this next story. Before we do, my friends, smash that like button, share the show with everyone. And I want to say, yesterday was my birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yesterday was my birthday. I'm 39 years old, and it's been a tremendous couple of months. What with Trump's presidency, the gutting of the bureaucratic state, the firing of federal workers, the getting married, having a kid. It's been this 2025 is the best year ever, best year of my life, at least. So what you can do is join Rumble Premium. Support our work. You can watch the uncensored call-in show at rumble.com/Timcast IRL. You can go to timcast.com and join our Discord community with over 20,000 people you can hang out with, talk to every single day and be a part of the news and be an active participant, not just a passive observer. So if you want to get a gift, those are the things you can do for my birthday. Thank you very much. Now, in all seriousness, this story is pretty brutal. From the post-millennial breaking, InfoWars reporter Jamie White brutally murdered in his apartment on Sunday night. White was pronounced dead in the hospital. The investigation remains ongoing, and authorities have yet to release further details. Now, I believe that InfoWars is, Alex, they're basically saying this has more to do with the lax on crime policies of Democrats, not that it's anything related to any kind of investigation or, nefarious or malicious deeds. We don't know. But I got to say, based on it being InfoWars, the first place my mind goes to is, what was this guy investigating? Because I'm sorry, I mean no disrespect to Alex, but I don't think he pays the kind of money that would result in a strong-armed robbery and some burglary in someone's home of a reporter to end their life. You know, like, journalists tend not to be the targets of people looking for money. Maybe you want to go to somebody who's rich in a rich neighborhood.
Somebody who doesn't have an apartment, like he was killed in his apartment.
You know, and of course, sometimes it's as simple as drugs were involved and people fought over them and there was a debt. Who knows? But I don't know, man. I don't know.
I've been chased by zombies in Austin on 6th Street. So you do know, we've been there. Like, it's some pretty gnarly spots in Austin where crime is totally allowed. Really bad addicts are all over the place.
They say he was working late at the InfoWars studio Sunday night. He was found outside his home just a few miles from the studio, and he was pronounced dead at the hospital. So maybe someone just ran up to him and attacked him.
Yeah, there's good.
There was another story recently, but this is not even unique for me to say, where a guy walked up to a woman and just stabbed her in the back with a knife. I think it was in like D.C. or something. Mm-hmm. There's so many stories like that all over the place.
Yep.
That maybe that's just it. Maybe he was just a victim of a random attack. I don't know. Coincidence is...
It's hard knowing it's a journalist from InfoWars, of course, but I know people who I knew someone who was attacked like that in a supermarket. Random person just walked to the supermarket and just had a victim in mind, anyone with a knife, and took him out, and made no sense. Right? They didn't know him, nothing. It's just that guy was bloodthirsty that day and crazy.
Jeez,
yeah, it's horrible.
It's really, really, really hard to be, to hear these kind of stories and give any kind of advice, because sure, when you're in, like, you can hear things like you want to be aware when you're in transitional spaces, right? When you get out of your car, when you're getting in your car, those are the kind of places where people attack you. When you're walking out of work, walking into work, those are the kind of places where attacks happen. But it's really hard to constantly be aware, like your friend that you're talking about, just walking through the supermarket, just randomly, that kind of stuff can happen. And again, like, I watch a lot of attacks and stuff like that on YouTube. Like, that's interesting to me to see the way that people actually do attack. And it's like, it's a good idea to look people in the eyes when you're walking around, because if you make eye contact with people, they tend to decide to find someone else, because it's not about looking like you're tough. It's not about looking like you're some kind of badass. All you have to do is look like you're not an easy target.
So we do have some updates. Refresh the page. They say InfoWars reporter Jamie White was found unresponsive late Sunday in what authorities are investigating as a murder. He was pronounced dead after being taken to the local hospital. Austin Police Department officers responded to a high-priority emergency call at approximately 11:57 p.m. Officers arrived 2 minutes later and found White with obvious signs of trauma. The investigation is ongoing, and authorities have not confirmed the nature of White's injuries or released information about potential suspects. This marks Austin's eighth homicide this year. Ratliff said this is pretty early on in the investigation, and the homicide unit will be releasing more information as they're able. That's the APD Public Information Officer. They're going to say a statement from InfoWars. Jamie's tragic death will not be in vain, and those responsible for the senseless violence will be brought to justice. Jones blamed Soros Austin, Texas DA Jose Garza partially for the murder. White was working late Sunday night. He was found just a few outside his home. He was found at his home a few miles from the studio. And we have this other quote. When you see the Soros DAs in control of over 800 jurisdictions protecting serious narcotic and human trafficking gangs, and you see different feds and ICE calling in warnings for most violent gangs in the world that there are ICE raids coming, Pam Bondi's saying that they're preparing to indict some of these people, that there are so many communist traitors in the government that they're doing polygraphs. Jones said in a show, this is a crisis. Defunding the police, all of this has been to destabilize society. So Jones went on to say, despite Austin being a war zone at night in many areas, the police were there in 2 minutes and got in the hospital in just 15 to 20. He was announced dead there. That's service. You can't do your job when you don't have enough people. So,
remember that story?
I'm going to get myself in trouble.
Well, then maybe save it for the uncensored portion if it's
too spicy,
beyond the pale or too spicy.
Okay.
Remember that story last year? They found like 10 bodies in the lake in Austin.
And there's a serial killer.
That was a rumor. I don't know if they really believed it, but it
Like
was
people keep falling off the bridge.
Yeah, falling.
And we talked about that, and they keep saying like, no, there's something going on. But wasn't it like there's someone who was drugged and then escaped?
I think that was one of the stories. Yeah.
Yeah. A guy was drugged at a bar, brought to the bridge, but then like fought off the dude and then ran off.
Yeah. Austin's wild.
Dude.
Yeah, I mean, it's dangerous. You know, the fact that there are DAs that don't actually put people that are dangerous away because of things like restorative justice, which are phrases that you hear on the left all the time, which are just ridiculous concepts, whole cloth idiocy. You have to take people that are dangerous off the streets.
Yeah.
That is job number one for any kind of reasonable law enforcement agency. And if you're not going to take them off the streets, then you have to empower citizens to defend themselves, because something must deter criminals. And if you do not put them away and they are not afraid of the people that they are victimizing, then there is no deterrence, and they are just going to keep committing crimes, and they're going to keep victimizing.
I don't know. I think it's compassionate to release murderers.
You held your straight face for about one.
I'm from New York. That's what they
seconds.
did. Yeah, that's what they did in New York during COVID. Just release them all. And that's where we're at now.
Man, I got to wonder, though, is this all turning around? I mean, with Trump in office, it's been a month. It's been a month and a half. Trump is making big moves against bureaucratic and deep state infrastructure. After this, we're already seeing the pickup in law enforcement with Cash and Pam Bondi. I know everyone's upset over the Epstein files. I'd like to see them too. But Cash, he got 2 guys who were selling secrets in the army or whatever.
That was great.
Yeah, so
Actually, I think it was 3, wasn't it?
Was it 3? The work has begun. So we're going to need to see some top-level infrastructure in law enforcement that is going to direct local law enforcement. And I'll tell you this, if these Democrat jurisdictions don't enforce the law, Trump should invoke the Insurrection Act and go secure these areas.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, there was a post on X by a Democrat strategist or whatever, and she was complaining about the attacks on, or the vandalism basically of Tesla dealerships. She's like, oh, this is going to make it easier for them to institute the Insurrection Act and blah, blah, blah. And while I don't think that vandalism of Tesla properties is actually, rises to the level of justification for the Insurrection Act, high levels of crime, not that I think crime is going down, even though you are seeing some fairly high profile crimes like this. If crime were to spike again, I think that you might see a more vigorous reaction from the current DOJ and administration.
I think things are getting better, but things ebb and flow in a battle like this. This is, I don't know if you guys are going to agree with me, but I think this is an economic, cultural, political, and spiritual, ethical, moral war battle that's going on among society right now.
Absolutely.
There are some people who are some pretty good thinkers, some folks I respect a lot. I don't know if they'd want me mentioning their names, but they believe that the next civil war has begun, and we're just in the early stages of it, and nobody really realizes just how bad it's going to be.
Tim didn't say it.
I didn't. So you can't drink. Ray Dalio said it to Tucker Carlson a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And it's been spoken of quite a bit. I didn't come up with the idea, and I'm not the only one who talks about the idea. Anybody with eyes to see could see that we are on this path. Now, it doesn't mean that it ends in civil war. Civil strife periods are the precursor to civil war. Bleeding Kansas, of course, was the American Civil War, the precursor. But the civil rights era and the protests and the rioting was a civil strife period that did not become a civil war. Right now, however, I think we are so massively entrenched with the Democrat cult machine, there's no way to break it. You have people who know they're wrong and don't care they're wrong, they hate. They are fueled by nothing but cult, social adherence, and hatred. So you're not going to tell me that, when you're talking to someone, here, I'll give you an example. There's a viral video where a guy is wearing an American flag on a beanie. It's a black beanie. It's an American flag on it, and he's asking people questions. And a woman says he's clearly an antagonist, far right, trying to disrupt. And he's like, "What? Why?" And she's like, "Because you're wearing an American flag." And he's like, "This is just the hat that I got from REI. I don't know. I'll take it off." She's like, "No, you know what you're doing." So long as those kinds of people exist, and they are fervent and they are violent, and they can be weaponized by more intelligent factions of the far left, Antifa types, this is going to escalate. Now you have that Ziz cult, far leftists, transgender people. They murdered a cop. It was a CBP agent, I believe, or it was CBP. Murdered him because he pulled him over. Now they're on the run, faking their death. Who knows what? And this is just, if it keeps escalating, then you end up in civil war. And the way things are going, the threats against Donald Trump, the threats against Elon Musk, what are they doing now? They're setting fires at Tesla stations. They're setting Tesla cars on fire. They're shooting up Tesla dealerships, threatening Elon's life. Now we got a DDoS attack, a cyber attack of some sort on X. It's not cooling down. It's only escalating. On TikTok, these people are posting incessantly saying things like you should go do it and stuff like that. There's a viral video where a guy points out, one woman says something to the effect of like, "Y'all know you need to go and do it," or whatever. And it's vague. But in the comments, she makes reference to getting rid of the king and the president, or I'm sorry, she made a reference to John Wilkes Booth. So everybody knew what she was saying. Another one responded saying that it'll be her, outright saying it'll be me and you'll know it. These people are making these videos. It is mass formation psychosis where they want clicks and they want views. So they are going to just pile on and say, do it, do it, do it, do it, until a handful of crazy people start doing crazy things. I'm
noticing the mental illness in my my ex-friends getting crazier than it was when they were mad at me during how I was during COVID. Like the way I'm like if I make fun of Zelensky, it's like I'm making fun of their dad or mom. And they're sending me like deranged messages. We had someone threaten the family saying they know where my kids are.
Over Zelensky.
Over
Why?
Politics. And it's insane. and that's just my personal life.
Just looking at the reaction to Zelensky. Who is this guy? Why do you care about him? You don't know who he is. You never heard of him before. The war in Ukraine has been 3 years. And in 3 years, you have attached your soul to this man. You are psychotic. These people have lost their minds and they're dangerous.
They see him as he's the opposing force to Trump. One of the many that they see on their side.
I see these things as sort of like the macrocosm of the small scale stuff that's actually going to cause it. They have created so much strife and division in so many homes and among so many friends and they've set friends against each other. They've sent brothers against sisters, fathers against sons, husbands against wives. And all at the same time doing a very good job convincing an enormous portion of the population that there is nothing worse in the world than a straight white man.
Yeah.
But, it's this phenomenon that we're seeing is a component of deep state intelligence agents or whatever trying to struggle to maintain power, zealots and far leftists. The biggest concern I have is not the deep state. Trump's routing them. It's not Antifa. These people are stupid. It is the random woman screaming the American flag is white supremacy without thought or knowledge or knowing what's going on. It is the zealous mass. The largest lump of the far left derangement is the cult mass. They don't read the news. They have no idea what they're talking about. They're insistent they do. And they want destructive things. I'll give you a really good example, and I'm going to drag Elon on purpose. Elon is a communist. He's shocking. So Elon he's a freelance reporter for us. He came on the show and said, Bezos makes too much money and uses loopholes to avoid paying taxes. And I'm like, okay, that's a leftist talking point, and it's fundamentally and factually false. Now, I'm not trying to drag Elon for no reason. The point is, no matter how many times we told Elon he did not understand corporate law or tax law, he was arguing with us fervently and adamantly that Jeff Bezos pay taxes on money that doesn't exist. No matter how many times we tried to explain, Bezos does not have that cash. It is imaginary equity and it is imaginary value based on the equity in a company. He said, so what? He should pay taxes. There's no explaining to him that's impossible and it makes no sense. It's like someone saying, we should scoop up the sky and throw it in the ocean. And you're like, okay, that's just nonsense. You said nothing. And then they get mad at you and they say, we have to do it. Then you see the people out in the streets, Antifa, and they're screaming, we gotta tear down the sky. And you're like, it's nothing. It's water particles and refraction. What are you talking about? And they're like, you're a fascist because you won't do it. And they burn buildings down. There's no convincing a person who is deranged and can't comprehend reality. You can try, you can be nice, you can vote. But eventually, they're going to say, Elon Musk, whose dealerships are being burned down, or being shot up, is doing this to make money. Tesla stock is down some 30% in a month. He's doing it to steal your money and make money. What? His stock is going down. His net worth is declining. And then they're going to say you should pay taxes on it. Yep. They have no idea what they're talking about. None of it makes sense. And these people are, it's derangement.
They were self-immolating last year and cheering.
They were lighting
Luigi
themselves on
Mangione.
fire.
So, like, what's the next step, right?
Well, now they're all on social media advocating for assassination. Not all of them, but many people are outright calling for violence. Right. You had that video of Adam Conover's podcast where a woman said that she polled people who attended the Women's March, and 30% said they believed the use of violence was justified to stop Donald Trump, or something to that effect.
Yeah, and they saw January 6th as worse than 9/11, worse than D-Day.
How long until they start attacking just random Tesla owners? So they
already are.
They're vandalizing.
So they're going to attack themselves.
They already are. There's all
actual people, or they're vandalizing.
They're vandalizing random Tesla vehicles.
Oh yeah,
no, I'm talking about what about when they start attacking the people that own Tesla?
Yeah, it's bound to happen.
You know what I mean? Like,
bound to happen.
Now, granted, I think that it's still that's a little far away because now they're only vandalizing. They haven't started. They're not actually attacking people yet, but they're vandalizing dealerships. They're vandalizing the Tesla superchargers.
How many snowflakes do you know personally?
Not many.
I can tell you that they got all the talk and all the balls in the world until another living creature is staring them in the face. If there's nobody there, they'll spray paint, they'll key, they'll cut, they'll do whatever. The moment even the tiniest ray of light shines onto their darkness, they shrivel so fast.
I disagree.
You think?
I have been at way too many events with far leftists where single individual actors have committed acts of violence against people.
Yeah.
Certainly there are the people you're referring to, but the ones that are committing violence, they're going to commit violence. It's actually the inverse, to be honest. So the strategy used by leftists is get as many regular people as possible to create a mass of bodies, and then one person starts the violence to ignite the conflict.
Yeah.
So it's usually the individual actors. And, well, actually, I am agreeing largely with what you say, but I disagree that if they're by themselves, they won't do it. They certainly do. They throw bricks by themselves. They use the masses to cover their actions when they engage in violence. But certainly we have seen numerous instances where individual far leftists have started fights or gotten into fights or small groups even.
Sure. I'm just saying that those kind of people really aren't the same kind of people who are going to go and like sneak up and spray paint. Like part of like those people, like they want the conflict. It's like they want someone to be filming it. It's like they, you know what I mean? Like those are two different people. You know, the one who sneaks up and slashes a Tesla's tires is not the same one screaming at the top of their lungs in a big protest starting the violence.
So, like, at big protests, the person who slashes the tire quietly is the person who starts the violence.
You think so?
That's their strategy. They call it green, yellow, and red. And so the green zone is the large mass of people who are stupid and have no idea what's going on.
Okay.
The yellow are the direct action people who are leading and organizing the protest and directing the masses. And the red actors are those who throw bricks and flash.
In these big organized protests, I actually do think you're right. I was thinking more along lines of like, you walk to your parked car after you're at the bar and some pink-haired snowflake is trying to key your car. that's not the dude who's going to swing on you.
Well, I mean, the pink-haired woman, maybe not. A guy would.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I said pink-haired guy, but
Oh, like no, that guy will.
Yeah, that's what happened to I forget the guy's name that got shot in
Oh yeah. Aaron Danielson in
Yes,
Portland.
yeah.
One guy with
just
with a BLM tattoo walked up and just went bam bam in his chest.
So that, yes, but what I'm saying is that's a different guy than the one who's like sneaking around and trying to like.
No, I don't think so.
Really?
So the direct action groups, these are the violent people who show up and fight the Proud Boys. If you watch the Portland videos, they wear masks, they go off, they get into street fights. They're the same people who plan the violence, and they're the same people who go out at night and do sabotage, chaining doors, putting super glue in locks and things like that. The regular people who are screaming at the top of their lungs and marching through the street, those are the green actors, meaning a pair of organizers from the direct action group of their cell or whatever they call it will go flyer and tell everybody, hey, we're doing a big march. It's a peaceful protest. They will then have the direct action violence people. These are the people who wear all black, burn things, set fires, smash things, fight people. They will crack you in the head with a bike lock. That's what they did in Berkeley. The same people who brought makeshift smoke bombs, brought M80s, came. One of their guys came with a bike lock and was bashing several people over the head with it. The regular people who get invited are meant to create a mass the police can't handle, and it's designed to indoctrinate. So what they'll do is they'll say, peaceful protest, everybody come. Then the direct action group has the yellow organizers. These are people who will be in the front line with the cops yelling at them and will be directing the mass. And then the red actors, the red group, are usually crowded around in the centers, and they'll throw bricks, throw M80s, throw less so Molotov. We don't see a lot of Molotovs in the United States, though it did happen in the George Floyd riots. Or they will directly barricade themselves to buildings. They expect to get arrested. The goal is to create chaos. So the mass of regular people have no idea what's going on. That's the green zone. It's the biggest. Is to cover up what they're doing. They'll say, hey, everybody, wear masks. Show up wearing a hoodie in solidarity. That way the police can't identify who the bad actors are. The other reason they do it is that they intentionally will start a fight with the cops. So the cops arrest all these run-of-the-mill college students. That way they go to jail, are terrified, and then while in jail, the cultist far leftists will say, see, aren't cops evil? Look what they're doing to you. You didn't even do anything wrong. You were peacefully protesting. That's unconstitutional. They're fascists. I know. Let's all sing songs together. Not kidding. Literally how they do it. Then they're all singing together. Then when they're finally being let go, they say, here's my phone number. Call me. Let's hang out. And that's how they indoctrinate young people into their cult. They intentionally get them arrested. They plan. I will say this to all the young people out there. They want you to get arrested. They will instigate a fight with the cops. So the cops arrest you and then look you in the eyes and say, look how evil they are for doing this. That's the game they play. We're going to go to Super Chats. So smash the like button. Share the show with everyone you know. How about this? For my birthday, go to timcastpremium.com and sign up for Rumble Premium using promo code TIM10 and watch the uncensored members-only call-in show. And also, go to timcast.com, click Join Us, download Discord, get involved in the Discord server. Over 20,000 people. Don't just be a passive listener, which is fine. I'm not trying to drag you. But you can be an active participant in the world, in the news, by joining in and having these conversations. And before you know it, you might find yourself working with one of these big shows, being on a podcast. The Culture War show is being set up. And maybe you, as a member of the Discord, will be sitting here at this table debating Phil and Shane and me and who knows? Who knows who else? We wanted to get Luke Beasley and Enrique Atario because he had those choice words about him. He has refused.
Luke refused?
Luke, I take it.
Yeah, Luke refused.
Oh,
yeah. Enrique's like, I'll talk to anybody. But Luke said no.
That's a bummer.
I don't think Luke actually has the capabilities to actually talk with the J6er.
Yeah.
So we said, well, maybe is there any other subject you'd be willing to talk about? Because we'd still like to have a debate. But it is funny to me that these leftists will never do it. They run and they hide. Conservatives won't stop banging on the door, telling us, hey, let us in. We want to come on the show. Liberals are like, no, wait, we can't handle Google. You bring like Kyle Kalinske on here, you sit him in that chair, and like I'll be like, Kyle, I won't debate you. I'll just Google search what you're saying. And what do you find? Everything he's saying is wrong. Okay, not everything, but a lot of it. And you're like, that's weird. Google said something else. I ain't going to debate you. I'll just Google it. Anyway, let's grab some Super Chats. Let's go. Greg Cutler says, I Super Chatted $100 last year, suggesting Ben Davidson as a guest. Fulfilled.
Sweet.
Epic. Andre says, no Rumble stream. We are live on Rumble, baby. Nearly 20,000 viewers on Rumble. 40,000 on YouTube. Look at that. Rumble's getting big. Philosopher Stone says, hypothetical question for you guys. If you had to delete either pizza or video games from the earth forever, which would you choose?
Video games.
Video games.
Nah, pizza.
Unfortunately.
Pizza.
Video games.
Well, pizza is largely an unhealthy, high carb food, and it is delicious if made right. The question then becomes, pizza is a nebulous description. Do you mean just like a New York style cheese? Are we talking about like an Italian focaccia with zucchini? Right. Deep dish.
All flatbreads.
Yeah, all flatbreads. What if it's just like bread with olive oil and mozzarella slices on top?
Yeah.
Right. So if you're just basically saying New York style, as we know it, like Papa John's, Domino's, pizza, all gone. I say pizza is bad for you. And the important thing is video games maybe, and it's not like I want to ban pizza. I'd like both of them to exist. But video games are actually really good for keeping the mind sharp, for hand-eye coordination. And we've already seen that many of the people who are physically fit and play video games have shown lower signs of mental aging, which makes sense. So what is it called, Phil? Sarcopenia, is that it? Mm-hmm. Age-related muscle loss after what, like 30 or something? 35?
I mean, I think it's actually after like 40.
40? Your muscles just start disappearing. Right. I think for the most part, it's if you don't use it, you lose it. The same is true for your brain. So people who play video games, whatever it may be, the other problem I have with video games is that not all video games are like stupid, gore, mindless zombie stuff. Civilization's fantastic. Educational, teach kids, not the new one, Civ 7 everyone hates. But we don't need pizza. You know what I mean? Greasy, heavy carbs, a lot of sugar in the sauce. It's okay. You can make it right if you put like whey in the flour to get it more protein dense, maybe. But you know, if I had to make a choice, I'd say video games can be educational.
So there are some video games like that. I think that just like with the pizza discussion, there could be a more nuanced discussion about video games, because there are some video games, it does the same thing to your brain as watching pornography. You know, like in terms of like the quick dopamine hit, like dopamine sickness, like rapid.
So does pizza.
It does.
So that's why it's. And the other thing, too, is video game is very, very vague as well.
It is, yeah.
So it's like you're talking about, like, console games and stuff, like no more Baldur's Gate or whatever.
Yeah, Tetris.
But what about Polybridge? That game's amazing. You ever play it?
No.
It's an engineering game where there'll be like a little truck and a little car, and it's like, here's how much wood you have, build a bridge. And then you're trying to design, a bridge. What I love about those games is that I always try to make the worst imaginable structures. Because sometimes it's easy to like, okay, I can build a suspension bridge, and you put two posts, then you secure them, and you put wires to the bridge, and it holds it up. And I'm like, that's boring. I want to make the weirdest design imaginable that works for some reason. Yeah, and then you press play, and the little car will drive across it. That game is great for kids.
Side
Kids
note,
should be playing it.
I think I played that in middle school, actually.
I don't know if they had Polybridge back then.
They had something like that. It may have been called Bridge Builder back then. I think it was called Bridge Builder.
Well, I mean, it's like...
And we played it in shop class.
I just soloed 0 Hour today for the first time. Huh. That's a D2 game. App on D2.
I got Avowed. I am unenthused.
Oh, drag.
Yeah, I mean, I've been playing it a little bit, but I'm bored. I don't know. It's like I'm in the first area and I'm just like rolling my eyes.
Last game I played was Sonic.
Baldur's Gate was epic.
Sonic. I like Sonic the Hedgehog.
The last game.
The best game I've played in a very, very long time is Baldur's Gate 3. Really, just absolutely amazing game.
Third-person adventure, right?
Yeah, RPG, turn-based. And then Avowed is, I don't know, it's an Obsidian game, I think. And you have like an axe and a bow and arrow or whatever, and I'm just like, ugh.
They're about to...
I really hate the action-oriented first-person games. Like, if you're going to make me jump and climb, I don't want to play first-person. It's annoying to play with controller. Yeah.
I disagree.
Where you, like, it's first-person, but you have to climb stuff. You don't even know if you can climb it, and then you fall, and you're like, okay.
First person. That's literally the game that I played today. Destiny 2 is first person shooter.
Yeah, but it's not. But you're not climbing things.
There's a bunch of platforming and stuff in 0 hours.
So in Destiny, you have double jumps and triple jumps, and you have air dashes and stuff. That's fine. But Avowed is literally jump climb.
Oh, okay.
And then if you like jump to the right height, the hands come up and pull automatically.
Yeah.
Nah, throw it out. No, I don't like it. Horizon Zero Dawn's incredible. And Horizon Forbidden West, big fan. All right, let's go. What do we got here? Anti-war Nobody says, Tim, you should have Louis J. Gomez on the Culture War to debate banning pit bulls. They are 20% of the dog population and are responsible for 66% of the fatal attacks. Yep.
That would be great.
There's stories like this all the time. There was a woman who had 2 pit bulls, and there was like nothing abusive. Everything was normal. They were in the backyard. She walked outside. They killed her. Yeah, she did. Yep. And they were just like, we don't know why. Like,
you guys understand why some people don't want to have the conversation about a certain segment of a species being a problem and needing to be gotten rid of. You understand why humans don't want to have that conversation, right?
Well, because humans are thinking individuals who can make rational thought. And wild animals are different, and animals are very different. So that's why when people are like, "Oh, we're going to compare dogs to race," like, well, you can't, because it's just not. It's not real. There's too many factors in human populations. Here's an example. Everyone goes to what they call the 1350. They say in the United States, despite making up 13% of the population, the black population is responsible for 50% of violent crimes, and it's just like the things that are attached to that are so spattered and wild that you can't get accurate data sets. For instance, you can't compare Somalis to Haitians. They're 2 different, distinct ethnic groups, and they have different heights. They have different average weights and completely different crime rates, but they're both considered black. So the issue with the United States that people try to bring this up is it's like, well, you can't do that. I can't stand the race realists because they're like, look, man, the history of the United States, the ethnic differences and backgrounds between all different people, it is more likely in the short-term socioeconomic factors and cultural issues. Chicago's violent crime, which is heavily racialized, is totally cultural and not racial. That's why there are white people in a minority in a black neighborhood that are still part of the gangs and shooting people, although they're likely going to, get targeted for gang violence because race does play a role. But anyway, long story short is I always just say, like, you can't look at the wealthy Nigerians who immigrated to the United States and have extremely low rates of violent crime, extremely high incomes, and then say it's a race thing. Because it's like, I mean, maybe there's a component of it, but it is very different than like dogs who were bred specifically to be violent. You know what I mean? Or to fight in pits.
Well, I mean, I think one could make the argument. I would say that one could make the argument that evolution did the training.
So, like I said, if you say Asian, for instance, what does that mean? And so in the United States, it means Southeast Asian, but not Indian or Middle Eastern. If you go to the UK, you say Asian. People typically think China, Japan, even though they're totally forgetting, like, famously with King of the Hill, Laos or Vietnam. But in the media and in their government, they mean people from India, and they mean literally the Asian entire continent, which includes Russians.
Yeah.
So the problem with the argument then becomes, well, of course we recognize evolution set certain characteristics through genetics with various people. The Scandinavians were ruthlessly violent for some period, and now they're dainty, still very tall, but very weak and effeminate, which is kind of funny. But then once again, Scandinavians and Ukrainians are very different people, despite both being white. You're going to find different crime rates among these different groups. Yeah. Ukraine crime is extremely high. Swedish crime is extremely low, but they're both white. So we're not going to say white is the underlying factor. That's the challenge I have with the race realists is they're like, all white people as a single group is like, I don't know, man. Why don't you go take a look at Northern Ireland and see the crime there? And like, you know what I mean? And then, it's I don't think I'm sort of in the middle of the road on this one. The race realists largely are like race is deterministic. I think nature and nurture is both 50-50. So there have been a bunch of studies on this one. Obviously, Charles Murray and the bell curve is like taboo. For a while, ChatGPT wouldn't even let you talk about it.
Unreal.
But I think nurture largely overwhelms nature, though nature plays a significant role. So anyway, but we don't need to harp on that. We can talk a bit more about the uncensored. I don't want to have one Rumble rant hog the entire conversation. All right, let's go. Rue Actual says, but rolling Afghanistan would have been really bad optics and bad for profit margins. Perhaps. K. Daniel says, I'm making a picture of Metallica, but every member is JD Vance. Bless you. Bless you for doing so. We appreciate
I think I saw a Pantera of all JD Vance today.
Doug Dimmadome says 19 hertz is the ghost frequency. They did a study where a band played for 3 days, and on random songs they played a 19 hertz undertone. People reported feeling uneasy or spine tingling during it. I've heard a lot of stories where universities did studies with ultra low frequencies, and they would put people in like dark stairway corridors and then blast it, and people felt like it was haunted. And what about the magnet helmet that make people felt God?
That's right.
Hear about that one?
Yeah.
They put a giant helmet on people with like magnets and then blasted their brains with super powerful magnets, and they said they felt the presence of God. But couldn't you rip the iron out of someone's skull or something?
I mean, that sounds
out of their blood.
I don't know.
It's not.
I think the actual you have a very, very, very small amount of iron in your blood. I mean, it's there, but it's a very small amount.
Did you ever take a magnet to a bowl of cereal? You can literally pull the iron out of it.
Really?
Yeah.
I want to try that now.
Yeah, get like some Corn Flakes or Frosted Flakes or something. Like Google it because it's probably a better cereal. And you run a big magnet around it and you'll see the iron start to pull off the...
Wow.
Yep. Because they put nutritional iron in Fortified, I believe it's called. What have we here? Skin says, between January 21st of 25 and March 11th, there have been approximately 52 to 54 plane crashes in the U.S., compared to about 87 for the same time period in 2021 from Grok. But the question is, what kind of plane crashes? What kind? Are the planes slamming to the ground and flipping over with tons of injuries or deaths? Or is it like the plane lands with the busted gear and everyone's fine and no one really talks about it? So my bigger concern is that at some point a plane may have a landing gear break off, and the landing gear will then flow through a time stream and land on a house of a bedroom of a kid who just so happened to have gotten out of bed because a weird rabbit told him in the middle of the night and lured him out of his bed into the street.
Great soundtrack.
It's the best soundtrack ever.
Great soundtrack.
You know they had an alternative soundtrack to that and it was not good?
No.
Yeah. Huh. And then they were like, let's just do 80s music. And it was the best soundtrack ever. Donnie Darko was the reference. For those who missed it. If anyone understands what that movie's about, it's about a time loop that he decides to break by dying. So,
as one does.
And so a landing gear crashes in their house and they have no idea where it came from, because when the plane was hitting turbulence, I think the plane crashes too, right?
I don't know if the plane crashes. I just remember the thing falling.
The gear gets sucked through a wormhole and then lands on his house, and they're like, no plane lost a gear. Where did this come from? But he sees the ghost of the rabbit he killed, who tells him to leave his house and then he's going to die in a month or something. A weird movie. It's great, though.
It's a great movie.
Yeah, we enjoy watching it. Jake Gyllenhaal, right?
Yeah, and his sister, Maggie.
Oh, that's right. And who else is in it? That what's her face? Who's in the Hunger Games?
I don't remember.
I can't remember.
Oh, it's before her.
Who?
He said Jennifer Lawrence, but I think she was too young at that point.
Couldn't possibly be Jennifer.
Unless she traveled through
No,
a
it's
time
not.
warp.
This is
I never saw
2001.
Donnie Darko.
You never saw Donnie Darko?
No.
It's Jenna Malone.
Jenna Malone.
There you go.
Yep.
Hunger Games as well.
Jenna Malone.
Yep. All right. Weather World says, Tim, the magnetic poles are always shifting on a 23.5 degree wobble. Current location is 85.762 north, 139.298 east. The polar flip is the problem. Uh-oh. I agree. That is the problem. So we'll talk a little bit about that, I suppose. You know, everyone's going to die or something. We're all going to go live underground with the moles in holes.
I hope not. That doesn't sound very fun.
No, it sounds like it sucks.
Yeah.
Miserable. I don't know. It depends on how big the underground city could be. Cornelius says, Ben, do you think the pole shifts could be the catalyst that causes Yellowstone caldera to erupt? I'm no geologist, but it seems to me that the past eruptions line up with past pole shifts.
I couldn't disagree more.
You think it will not affect it?
No. The last geomagnetic excursion was 6,000 years ago. Before that, 12,000, 18,000, 24,000, 30,000, 36,000, 42,000, 48,000. Yellowstone has not erupted in a very...
When was the last shift?
The last magnetic pole shift?
Yeah.
6,000 years ago.
So Would it's every 12,000 years or?
So basically, there's a mini version every 6,000 years, but every other one is really bad.
So we're looking for
The one coming now is really bad.
Oh, it's the big. So 6,000 years ago was the mini.
Yeah, 6,000 years ago. What Noah endured was the mini.
Ah. Got to build an ark. All right, everybody, if you haven't already, would you kindly smash that like button, share the show, and yesterday was my birthday. If you want to get me a present, you can go to rumble.com/Timcast IRL and watch the uncensored show. Sign up for Rumble Premium using promo code TIM10. And if you want to call into the show, go to timcast.com, join the Discord server, get active, be a part of this great culture war. We need you, because who knows? You could be sitting there twiddling your thumbs watching the show saying, hey, look, man, I work all day. And then one day you say but a single sentence in the Discord and everyone goes, we never thought of that because you were never there. And then all of a sudden everyone realizes something, changes the world. It could be you. You can follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. Ben, do you want to shout anything out?
You can find me every single day, Space Weather News on YouTube.
Right on.
You can find me at Shane Cashman everywhere online, and the show is Inverted World Live on YouTube and Rumble every Sunday at 6 o'clock.
I am Phil That Remains on Twix. I'm Phil That Remains Official on Instagram. The band is All That Remains. We put out our new record on January 31st. It's called Anti-Fragile. You can check it out on YouTube, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Pandora, Spotify, and Deezer. Don't forget, the left lane is for crime.
Oh, we have a quick correction. That Atlantic article about J.D. Vance,
Yes.
the writer is not Ali, it's Ali. It's a man.
Oh.
Uh-oh. Effeminate men. All right, everybody, we will see you all over on the Uncensored Show at Rumble, rumble.com/TimcastIRL in about 30 seconds. Thanks for hanging out.